Oh, you're welcome, hon. Hey, listen, I just got on it through our website, so he didn't change the Awakening Together. So, but whatever. Yeah, so I went to the event, called up Mike because I couldn't see it anymore, and then it was on the Zoom link, was the same Zoom link, but it doesn't matter. We enter, we'll leave just as much as we entered, which is disorganized. So there you go. Probably the first talk didn't go well. The last one won't go well. That's just how it rolls. That's how Zen bitch slap rolls. So, well, can you hear me? Yeah, obviously you can. Well, yeah, I was really happy for. Obviously, I didn't do it for Awakening Together. I did it for the people that are in Awakening Together. Really, yes, because my question that we're going to use as the new title: who is it that awakes and to what? Yeah. So that's going to be the new title. Who awakes and to what? So it's an interesting question. Yeah, because again, the thing that non-duality negates is the who, and you like to have it negated way before you get to the, heaven's door, so to speak. Yeah, you like that be clear before you get to heaven's door, because you're going to knock on heaven's door. God's going to answer it. He's going to go, you're going to go, can I come in? And God's going to say, Paul can't come in. And there'll be the identification as Paul. So you feel like you've been thwarted, that you've been disqualified, that you've been said no to. But in fact, God was just stating a fact. Paul can't come in. Yeah. And it was the whole point was to realize you weren't Paul. And then you have immediate access as if you never left. That's sort of what the whole message is, yeah? The message is a compression of seeker and sought to the seeker is the sought, yeah? Just compress it. And it doesn't matter what you think. Watch the head's reaction and you see it as not you, yeah? Even if it's a beautiful, sanctimonious reaction, it's still not you. Yeah, it doesn't vouch for you. It doesn't talk for you. Yeah, so you just see it in a new way, and maybe the old groove has to be filled in, seemingly, and that's the repetition. That's why we did a year of talks and stuff. Yes, I know. There's absolutely no need for a talk. And then hopefully one talk will do, but it may take 52 talks. Yeah, it doesn't matter because there's no time that's ever been lost. Yeah, we've never blown it. It isn't like we could have sped up the situation. When you arrive at where you already are, it just informs you you've always been there. Yeah, so that's any moment you arrive at where you already are, the same information will dawn on you. It's always been this way. So did you, did you blow it? Did you do something to slow walk it? It doesn't matter. Yeah. Our quality, our nature is not of time. We're not accumulating ourselves. We haven't dispersed ourselves. We're not concentrating and getting it like a laser-like concentration, or we're not, scattered like crazy. Yes. The underlying thing is not a thing. We can't decipher it. We can't understand it the way, we have a mental myth called Paul's understanding. It misses the whole game. Yeah. It's trying to throw a football like a baseball, it just doesn't get it. It's just pointless. So this is the beauty of it. You're just exhausted from trying. And then the relief you thought you would get through well-earned work and effort, you just get relief from that, work and effort, really. Yeah. You don't care if you're advancing up the spiritual staircase. You really don't. You can't. It's up and down's the exact same. You think you left, you think you're going back. Nothing's happened. So I thought it was funny we had this statement, awakening together, because on one level, I completely disagree with that. I don't think there's two of us to awaken together with. I just don't. I don't think there's one of us. Unless you can call an apparition that appears only based on certain conditions and yet still disappears, yeah, is us. If you believe that's us, if you believe the idea of Paul as an action figure can stand on its own and it's not based on other conditions and it's going to come and go no matter what, yeah, it seemed to start it, and it definitely seems to it's gonna end. If you want to call that you, all right, great. I just don't see it that way. Yeah, I don't see us as a thing. I don't see us as a, you know, the acorn stayed an acorn, even though when it grew an oak, it became an oak. It loses its leaves, but no, it's the acorn. No, I don't see it that way. Yeah, I think everything that we're running into here is an appearance. Yeah, it's appearing to be true to us. That doesn't mean it doesn't pack a wallop. It doesn't mean it does pack a wallop. It just means it's not true. Yeah. So, yes. If anyone has a question, you better ask now. Because once we go back into the old modality, no questions like the soup Nazi. There's going to be no questions at the who is there to awaken and to what. There's not going to be any questions. None. Zip. Zip. Yeah, so this is your moment. Please don't start it with a Y, though. Please give me at least that. Let me not hear a Y for the last meeting with awakening together, please. Okay, anyone?
I just want to chime in. You must have done something right, because my mind is absolutely blank right now.
Great.
I think that's a good sign.
Yes, very good sign. The beautiful thing, even when there's writing on it, it's still blank. Yeah, it's nice when it coincides, but all the other shit that's happening isn't changing the blankness of the mind. Yes? They're just passing through. Yeah.
I like that. That's really helpful.
Well, yeah,
Chris
a bird
has his
goes
hand
through
up.
the sky, makes a lot of noise, but it isn't the sky's noise, is it? No. It's the bird moving through the sky. The sky isn't saying shit. Yeah. So, yeah, this activity is going to end, obviously. I think most people wish not to go out in a suffering way. They rather pass away, like in when they're sleeping. But you could say you're sleeping all day. There's the awake dream and the asleep dream. At least the asleep dream is recognized to be a dream. The awake dream is still called the reality. So, which dream is the stronger dream? The
one with
dream.
Chris in it. He has his hand up. The one with Chris in it.
Hey, Paul. I just want to ask, why did you get your hair cut? No, I'm just kidding. So
I left my left coast Jesus look. Yes, I'm nice. Going for older adult GQ look now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're starting to look organized, which concerns me. So.
Yes. Well, don't worry. That's not happening. I still don't have any pants on. So.
Speaking of illusions, yeah. Welcome back. I really missed these meetings when you were in Italy. So, and I'm sorry you got sick. I actually don't have a question. Yeah. I remember you
Nice
said
to make contact, bro. I'm happy to see you again.
at some point you were going to stop answering my questions because it would be an insult. And yeah, I really don't have any questions. I am kind of witnessing this unfolding,
Yeah.
which I am becoming keenly aware of the something is doing for me what I can't do for myself principle.
Yeah, great. Yeah, that's it. This is it's a new travelogue. In this you don't say much. It's not a giant narration. It's just an observation, and you uh yeah.
Still has its ups and downs, good days and bad days. Sometimes just have to cope, but it doesn't feed. I mean, it does feed this kind of a story, but that's kind of this story over there.
Hey, listen, bro, my opinion is stories are great. It's the story that thinks it has all the stories is the one I'm concerned with, yeah.
Yeah.
But stories are part of this time event. I find I heard a Wappa today. Just amazing what people get up to. It blows my mind
You want
what
to
can
share that?
happen. So
Are you going to share that?
no, I'm not going to
Okay.
share. No, it's but it wasn't unusual, but it was yeah.
So
It was a pretty good one, a pretty good story.
when I've been engaging in service quite a lot, and it's funny the difference between like the head engaging in service, I guess, and getting all, oh, what a good boy am I about it kind of thing versus the, I don't, whatever other motivation, call it higher power, that when you engage in service and what happens is someone else's needs become indistinguishable from your own, I guess. And I see the claiming. It's really amazing. It is almost laughable. Like when you see the claiming go, yeah, I did that. Every time there's a real kind of surrender and it's obvious that it's not me doing it, there's still the claiming still happens, just like a parrot or something.
Yeah,
Just like a dumb parrot that just keeps talking.
because it doesn't have anything to do with you. You're not choosing it. It's not a volitional event.
Yeah,
It's mechanical.
it's like a
Yeah,
wind up. It's like a wind up doll or
yeah,
something.
yeah. It usually coincides with the length of life the body has, probably.
What do
That's
you
how
mean?
many turns the wind up.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's gonna run out. It would be
yeah,
nice to run out before the passing away.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I think you could. I think time in that way can be sped up. It can, and then you're done before you're done, which is nice. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
done with a lot of this stuff before you're dead. Yeah,
yeah. Let's hope.
yeah, yeah. No, I
That's
think that's true. I think that's been observed before.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to say thanks again.
Well, you're welcome, friend. I'm happy. I remember when you first came in, and I'm happy that you filled up the space with us. Yep, it's good.
My wife keeps telling me I've been different ever since I started coming to these meetings. So
Well, fantastic. Tell your wife to donate some money to me. Yeah, to the Zen.
see, I am so constantly donating money. Like I just bought a goat for like the family in Ethiopia. It's like
Oh, great.
$500, and my wife's getting really upset with me.
I like goats. Those are cool.
Yeah, but
They're pretty.
what's funny, it's funny when she says that I'm different, and then I say, "Oh, I'm not that different." But if I think back, and I almost see myself as I see Chris or whatever as a doll or something, a mannequin, and I can remember, I can see and remember myself doing things that I would never do now, but it doesn't feel like I changed or something like that.
Well, yeah, because again, in a lot of ways, you lose interest in that. Other
Yeah.
people notice it more than you because you're really not that interested in it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Before I was very interested in changing and witnessing all the changes and claiming all the changes. And then you just lose interest in all those aspects that you could like put under the banner of self, the long lasting, independent, separate thing. There's just a comprehensive loss of interest in a lot of what makes up self.
Because I failed at, sometimes it seemed to succeed, but it was just, it's like people who try to go on a diet their whole life. And it's like, dude, there's nothing wrong with your body. Your body's fine. You're never going to, like, I just failed at that. Even when I succeeded, it didn't make me feel any better. It didn't make me happy.
Yeah, well, a lot of times we have to play out it. We got to play that string out.
Totally.
It's the dreaming oneself out of the dreaming, so to speak.
Yeah. Maybe
Uh,
it's different for some people.
it just, there's a point where yet it keeps on spitting out the same old, same old. But that
That's
slows
right.
up also, yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
it feels like. There's a point at which it's like, well, we'll give that one more try. Yeah, okay. But there's a point at which the voice keeps saying that, but I'm not I'm not getting fooled.
And
And
it stops too. It will. It runs out. See, because we're its energy source. Yeah. It
yeah,
feeds off of us. It can't light itself up. It has to get a reflection from us. So we are the light. And so after a while, it can't pay the electric bills and it gets shut off. Occasionally, it gets a lot more blackouts than it used to. That's
it's
nice.
very surprising to when you see how unnecessary it is. Like when you said, there can be hearing without a hearer, but there can't be a hearer without hearing. It's
Yes.
actually pretty simple, right?
It's very simple.
But
It
when you
shows you there's a pattern that you can recognize, which is the idea of trying to get into what you're not out of and trying to get out of what you're not in. That's really the way it is. It's going completely opposite a lot of the time. Yeah. You're
yeah.
thinking you're going north on the highway, you're going south on the highway. No idea. And so when it's corrected and now you're going north and it's north, yeah, there's things happen when that occurs. Like there's not a cognitive dissonance anymore. The gears are running and meshing, yes, and the horse is in front of the cart. It just runs differently. What you would call your life, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just continually struck by how little I have to do and how little I have to actually worry about.
Well, we've already done too much, so that's the whole point. We just did way too much. It needs to be a pause.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
saw
seriously,
I saw it.
everyone has been trying to change how they think they feel since forever, almost. Yeah.
I don't know if I told you this story, but you talk about like young children sometimes. And I was at the airport and a family came off the plane and the mom was walking ahead and she had a stuffed animal or something. And the girl was right at that age. She was maybe 3 or 4. And she just reached out her hands and she screamed at the top of her lungs, "Mine!" Because
Yeah.
because
There
she
you
wanted
go.
that. Yeah. And it's crazy. And then you see kids that are below that age, they don't have that at all.
Yeah, they haven't. The
Things
brain
come and
hasn't
go and they
developed
just,
yet. Yeah,
yeah.
the brain develops, and it's a brave new world. It's the
But
same old same old.
it's so funny when you say that, like my I want you to have money, but I don't want you to have my money. It's like I say that I think this is my mouse. But then when I look at it, like what about it is different by it doesn't know it's mine. Like there's nothing about it that makes it mine, actually.
That's right. It's just a claiming. Yeah.
Yeah.
But people will die for it.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, they will. So yeah, there's a lot of power. We were talking about it today in the recovery meeting. I want to read this from recovery because it's quite good. And they're talking about faith, not a faith, not like Islam or Christianity, faith. And I'm seeing faith as sort of like one of the four forces of the universe, like gravity, whatever it is, dark matter. Well, I would say faith is one of those forces, yeah, just as an imagery. And so here, Bill W., the guy, one of the co-founders who led the writing of this big book, is trying to address agnostics because the AA program sounds like a lot of God, yeah? So he wants to make agnostics feel comfortable and not shut the door on this possibility of getting recovered from active addiction and alcoholism for a simple, stupid idea that they don't believe in a God, yes? So he finally does a couple of paragraphs, pages, and then he says, listen, let us think a little more closely without knowing it. So that's the condition most of us are in. Without knowing it, had we not been brought to where we stood by a certain kind of faith. Okay? It's a pretty incredible statement. So he says basically, if we were brought by a certain kind of faith to where we stand, then every place we stand and at every time we're standing we're brought there by a certain kind of faith. So faith is what's manifesting here in this dreaming, yeah? So he goes, for did not we believe in our own reasoning or in the thoughts, the mental logic, yes? Now, there was a believing in the mental logic. The way the head works, it has us identified as the believer in the mental activities, yes? There's believing in the mental activities. It's not us. We're not doing that. There's not a thing called Chris doing that. But there's faith in the reasoning. So did we not have confidence in our ability to think? Yes, nice question. What was that but a sort of faith? So when someone says they have no faith, there's faith in that, yeah?
Yeah.
So someone makes a statement, I don't believe in anything, that's a belief before, yeah? So you can't get out of the field of faith. I mean, all there is this power. So he goes, yes, we had been faithful, abjectly faithful to the God of reason. So in one way or another, we discovered that faith had been involved all the time. All the time means now, yes? So most people wouldn't see that, would they? They wouldn't see that where they're at right now is based on faith. They may believe it's based on a faith, like in Jesus or in Buddhism or whatever, but basically faith is what moves everything. So,
Yes.
and faith manifests by the vehicle it's put in. So many of us have had an incredible experience of the effects of faith in believing in the thoughts as ours, yeah? To the point where thoughts about next week can override the experience of right now. So we get addicted to something that overrides the present event, which is seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching, through one vehicle, which is thinking, but faith behind that. And the faith is noticed by the word my. My thinking has a lot of different effects than thinking does. Yeah. My thinking is worthy to be listened to ad nauseum. Thinking, I'd rather shut it off, especially if it's someone else talking about their thinking to me. Yeah. So you see that there's faith in the thoughts, and you and I are a thought. the idea of Chris is a thought imagined as a body. It is no different than any other thought, except that this thought implies that you're the thinker, where other thoughts don't. Yes? Other thoughts are used to reinforce the idea of the thinker, but the feeling, yeah, that one thought that you're the thinker is a doozy, so to speak. Yes? We don't see it as a thought. We see it as a starting point. We see complete validity in Paul as a thing is doing the thinking. There's faith there, a lot of faith.
It's blind faith, totally blind faith.
Totally blind faith.
We take that as the starting point, and then we don't question it.
That's right.
And we interpret everything
without
else.
knowing it, it's going on because we assume this is the way it is. So what happens is many of us, liking it or not, run into other possibilities, maybe out of distress, maybe out of this, maybe out of coincidences, grace, whatever. And finally you hear something, and that hearing of what you're hearing registers a much more emphatic yes than all the fucking advertising going on in the head. It just feels like, wait a minute, this is more like I feel it is than I ever thought it is. Yes? So, and then you run into a thing called the Course in Miracles or something where they describe us as the dreaming of the dream. I get that. That feels much more true to me than a biographical history of Paul Hedderman as a thing. It just feels, and I feel much more like a verb than I ever did a noun. Really, the feeling is so. We were introduced to something that played God. That's a very jealous playing of God, where it doesn't allow any other God before it. Yes. And this is what we found ourselves relying on, or we found the condition of our mind, which is us, relying on self. And it's unreliable. That's it. You don't need 800 examples. One can tell you about all of the examples because there's one principle, and the principle is that it's a failed system. What can it show you? It's failed. That's its value. Hopefully that's what's happened. And now you're open for attention and interest to go in other directions. And hopefully the faith that is the force that makes us is now being directed from another location than the mental condition. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Simple as that, really.
It fails on both ends. That when you try to fix things yourself, you either fail in that you can't do it. You can't quit drinking, or you can't quit being addicted to these thoughts or whatever your problem might be. But then if you actually do manage to really kind of force yourself to have whatever you think is going to make yourself happy, it doesn't work. It doesn't make you happy. You feel worse.
Well, the thing is that failed is its success. See,
yeah,
that's how it's delivering its message perfectly. We're just not reading it. We just keep relying on it when it's proven over and over again its unreliability.
It's like a con artist that walks right up to you and says, "Look, I'm going to con you right now," and okay,
he's already told you everything, and and yet the sense that we're doing it is one of the reasons why we don't really address it. Yeah. We feel like, who the fuck would be doing this to ruin their lives? Yeah, so a lot of it is not a willful, it's a willful blindness, but it's not based on us. The mental state has our voice, it has our position, it has our location, it has our history. And we live from that very myopic view most of the time. And a lot of us got tired of looking through that lens. Yeah. And then life had something in store for us. We heard a message. Yeah? And that message opened our eyes to see perhaps there's a different way. Yeah. Another possibility. Yeah. And then we have satsang to keep reinforcing that grace.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, bro. All right, anyone. I lost where's
Hey,
our
Paul.
leader? Yeah.
I have a couple questions, especially since this is the last time you're going to be here to make meeting together. What would you say if there is a such thing as a difference between belief and faith? That's my first question. My second question is it possible to let go of the believer? And I also noticed you called the thinker. Is the thinker and the believer the same exact thing? So, because you kind of alluded to the fact that you're not getting out of this, you're not getting out of the thinker. So is that more belief, the thought of thinking that I can let go of the believer?
Yes. Usually the claiming is so fast. And so when there's a desire to let go of the believer, it's held as a believer. Yeah. We had this today. It's famous in doing these shares. So when we're talking to recovery, we're talking based on a world of action figures, yes, and shit like that. So someone brought up something is brought up all the time, which is, all right, well, who is there to surrender and to what? Yes, it's a non-duality type of thing. But usually when I hear it, if someone has seen that they're not an action figure, they don't have a confusion about it. Yeah. It's when they're seeing everything from an action figure view, they have a huge confusion around it. So the action figure is in a way trying to excuse itself from doing anything because there is no action figure. Yes. But it's the action figure point of view doing that next move. Yes. Yeah. Do you get it? It's in a way it's important because like when I did this thing of chanting I'm not a body, and then I realized it was the body identification, chanting was not a body. I felt like the spirit doesn't give a shit if you're a body or not. It has no opinion whatsoever. But the body identity wanted to get feel better than it was as a body identity. So it was chanting I'm not a body. I'm not a body, but there was an identification as the chanter, yes? Pictured as a body. So a lot of times people go to a non-duality answer, which isn't going to bring you the relief that a damn surrender would as the action figure. Yes? So, all right. So let's get back to the believer and the thinker. Yes, it's the same movement. Yes? Because there's thinking and there's believing, and it just takes the ER about both of those. Yeah. So it's the thinker and the believer. Yeah. It's the same movement. Yeah. First of all, there isn't any thinker or believer, so there's nothing there, but the assumption is the exact same. Yeah. There's a noticing of thoughts, and the only conclusion the mental state can arrive at, there must be a thinker. There's a noticing of believing or not believing. There must be someone believing or not believing. There's a noticing of actions being done. There must be an actor doing it. Yes? This is the mental logic. It's programming has to have a you in there. It just can't imagine its own absence. It would still be still be seeing itself in absence. Yes? It's just the programming. So doing, doer, believing, believer, thinking, thinker, feeling, feeler. Yes, they're all there's not individual feeler, thinker, believer, doer. Yes, it's all the same. The image that is conjured up is the exact same, a body. The body is seen as the thinker, the believer, the doer, the feeler. Yes? Yeah. So what was the first one? That was the second one, right?
Yeah, did you say already what the difference between faith and belief is?
No, I wasn't looking. Faith is in a completely different ballpark than belief. Faith is a force. It moves mountains. Belief doesn't. Faith is a force. Belief is something else. Yeah. It's in like another ballpark, so to speak.
Then
Yeah.
why can't we have faith that these beliefs can go? Or the faith that the believer
There
can
can
go,
be
I
faith
mean.
like these beliefs can go, but there's no you who has the faith. That would be an old belief again.
So am I the faith? Because
I
if you
don't
say
like
the
to say that.
force,
Let's just say you're not the one who has or doesn't have anything. So yes, I would say faith stands alone. There's no one who's the faith. Yeah. And there's no anti-faith. Faith is like a force, yeah? It doesn't have it's a perpetual verb. There's no noun there doing it, yes? Yeah, you see?
that feels like it would point to what I am.
It doesn't point to where you
Perpetual, a
are.
verb.
It's probably an activity of where you are, of what you are, yes. How can this place appear to be true? It's based on faith. Just like they talk about the stock market, it would collapse if there was loss of faith in it. Because it doesn't stand on anything. It's just fucking made up. Yes?
Exactly.
Currency is made up. This whole dreaming is based on faith. Belief wouldn't be sufficient enough to make this a panoramic production with vivid colors. That's another force. Yeah? Yes. So obviously faith is what generates the dreaming. Yeah? How could false evidence appear to be true without faith?
That sounds like believing.
I don't care what you want to call it. Just call it whatever you want. Believing or faith, it doesn't matter. It's a force. When you get a hit, when you get hit by wind from the south or the north, is it any different? Yeah. Just feel the wind. Yeah, feel the force. Don't worry about the naming of it.
To me, that calling it why it's faith is because it's like being hypnotized. You don't even know you're doing it. And that's different than a belief to me.
Well, faith can move mountains, you know. So it's a force, that's all. Whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
And Kathleen has her hand up.
Kathleen, confused and happy? Or
Hi,
another?
Paul.
Hey.
I just wanted to say why. Why? No, I just wanted to say, why does satsang work so well? And I haven't talked to you for a while, so I just thought I'd take the opportunity to do that. I don't have any questions.
Oh, great, honey.
I just want you to know that I feel less confused. Still, I'm not going to claim that I know or that I understand, but I feel much more at home, at ease. I don't know how to explain it, but I just wanted to share with you an experience I had today. I went out for a bike ride, and I, typically would be deciding where to go and just like planning the whole future of the bike trip, and I just decided, let's just get on the bike and see where it takes me. And it was the most pleasant day that I can remember experiencing, maybe ever. Possible, maybe ever. I just let the bike take me, and it took me to the most beautiful places, and I was just shown the most beautiful scenery on a, a beautiful fall day here in Southern Delaware. And it was just amazing. And I was just so great, just full of gratitude for the beauty that I was seeing, for the freedom that I felt. And there was one time where I was standing on this bridge and looking, I could see all around. I've shared a similar experience with you before, but this time I felt like I was a part of all this beauty, all this nature. And all of a sudden, the thought came back to me. I'm looking at all this beauty and admiring. This beauty is looking back at me and admiring and seeing beauty here. And it was like, how can you be anything but elated when that's what you're feeling like, and that's where I am at this point in my day. Just so grateful for Bill in my life. And, we've been living together for 4 months now, and we've come across some little, some conflict that we've resolved together, communication being the key. And I'm just amazed with my life as I sit here today, and want to thank you because you're a big part of that. Your satsang, your Zoom gatherings, all of that. A lot of things, have gone into me feeling this way right now today, but I've not always reported feeling, this. I know I was talking with you about, feeling like I was in a mourning process, and so I think I've come out of whatever darkness there was, and I'm into the light, and I just want to stay here. Thanks for listening.
Oh, great, Kathleen. Thank you very much. Always nice to hear those reports. Yeah. Good. Anyone else? I hope we don't have a long, tearful goodbye this session.
I don't see any hands up, but I just want to remind everyone, if you want to raise your virtual hand there through Zoom, you can do so by clicking on reactions and then raise hand. It's like a little smiley face on your toolbar there.
We can also start saying goodbye. It's all right. If no one
That's
has
fine.
anything to say.
If you feel to do that.
I got to go to the city to speak at an AA thing. So I have time, but it'll be good to end at 5. Yeah. So let me say hello to everyone, and hopefully I'll see you again. Yes. Yes. We're not going to break off all communication between Awakening Together and Zen Bitch Slap, I hope. Yeah. So Connie, nice to see you there. Been a pleasure to meet you this year or so, or whatever it is. Walter, we're hanging out together on this journey. It's very nice. It's my privilege to share a seat with you here. Bill Churchman, very happy to meet both of you. Yeah, both of you have been huge additions to my little peanut gallery. So we got Kelly and Zoe. They got a lofty position also. Chris, he's the ringleader. He's got the hat. So yeah. See, we got Andy Walker from another constellation. Yes, spinning around. We got donate here. Well, it's persistent. We got Scott. Oh, there's Susan K, my latte lady. She's been supporting my coffee addiction for years. It's very nice. Let's see if anyone else is here. No, there's not many people because they didn't know how to get in, I guess. Yeah. That's the story of Zen Bitch Slap. We used to have a meeting in a church, and it was very convoluted how to get in to the church where we had the meeting. So we'd have to send people out and just look at people just roaming around and, are you here for, yes, and it would be I mean, it was just crazy. It just, nothing could be simple, you know, always, whatever. All right, well, forgive us for the people who missed it. We'll be here again. It'll be in our Zoom link next week, same time. And we'll miss Sina. Sina, I hope you show up occasionally. Yes, we're gonna have to find someone else to. No one can replace you, seriously. But we'll have to soldier through your absence if possible, you know, and get someone to run the show. That reminds me, I'll have to do that before next week. All right, and yeah, so a pleasure to see everybody. Yes, and thanks for coming today, and thank Awakening Together and everyone for this opportunity. It's been a real, you know, on surface we conflict, but you know, in the deep it's all water. Yeah. But I'd sure like to screw with Awakening Together. I would. Seriously. I've had to hold back for over a year. It was it doesn't matter, you know, hand in hand, no hands, it doesn't matter. Whatever spins your top, God bless it. I just want to see people travel lighter. Really. I don't care what brings it about. Yeah. I believe there's only the true source brings all things about. Yeah. But so whatever works, however you're dreaming yourself out of the dreaming, fantastic. Yeah. So, yeah. Thanks. See everybody. See you, Zoe. See everyone. Kelly.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Paul.
Paul.
Thanks,
See you
Sina.
soon.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Paul.
Andy,
Paul.
don't,
Thanks, Nina.
show up, Andy, every once in a while on the other side, the Zen bitch slap side. All right.
Bye,
See
Sina.
ya.
Bye, Paul.